Welcome to the Fast Mode podcast series. I'm Neal, and with me today is Ilan Avner, Director of Product Management at AudioCodes. AudioCodes is a global leader in enterprise voice technology and voice AI innovation. The company helps organizations unlock the full value of voice, transforming every conversation into a strategic asset that drives smarter decisions, better experiences, and business growth. Ilan specializes in voice AI, conversational platforms, and enterprise communications. With many years of experience in voice technology and networking, he brings a unique perspective on transforming voice infrastructure into intelligent AI powered experiences. Welcome, Ilan. Great to have you on today's episode.
Hi, Tara. Great to be here and to be hosted in this episode.
Awesome. I know that you have really a strong experience background in the voice AI space. So this will be a good platform for our listeners to learn more about voice AI. So, we've heard about voice AI a lot, and some of us have experienced, using it. And we hear sometimes talk about some of the challenges, right? So, why do most voice AI projects remain stuck at the POC stage?
Yes. So first, I think today we have a lot of platforms that you can trial with, and you can start with a POC that will be very impressive. That will hear very native voice and so forth. Usually, by the way, this type of POCs, you just allocate a phone number and call your bot, and that works fine. But then when you go into production, you start encountering multiple challenges, and with two categories, I would say, of challenges. One of them is related more to the business logic. So that would be the same challenge as if you're speaking about a chatbot or a voice bot. That's the same challenge, and that's about following the business logic, avoiding hallucinations. Sometimes you have hallucinations, edge cases that you didn't really think about, and then they happen while you start production. Things that you didn't know that the conversation will go in a specific way. And so that's one type of the challenge, okay? And that's related to the business logic, to the LLMs and the platforms that you use. The other logic that we may be more focusing in this episode is more related to the voice experience. Now, while we're saying voice experience, here you will encounter multiple challenges. First, when you start with voice, after you ended the POC, the first challenge would be to connect to your existing voice channels. So usually that would not be a new phone number that you will allocate. You will need to connect to your contact centers, to your SIP trunks, to your providers that provide you the phone numbers, or maybe Microsoft Teams or whatever you're using. So that's one challenge. And while we're speaking about this challenge, also here, usually in production, you will need sometimes to escalate human agents because the bot is not really doing what it's supposed to do, come to the limits of the bots, and then you may need to escalate the human agent. So how would you do that? How would you share context with the human agent? Because you don't want the human agent to start from
Yes.
scratch. How do you handle real world environments, like for instance, noisy environments? Things that you would not usually typically do when that would be a POC. And then you will find out that the STT may be not that accurate. Interruptions to the bot, what happens? So things that you don't think in advance, latency, uh, maybe you will find out that while you scale, you will find out that the latency is much more than what you expected because of the scale, because of the platform that you use. So what would be the STT, the TTS? What happens in case the TTS is not responding? STT is not responding, LLM is not responding, maybe responding a little bit low. So these are type of things that constantly happen in production. And usually what we see is that when you have a great POC, you start production, you see these issues, then you halt, and then you need to rethink about the things and choose your providers, and then you need to adjust to the real world use case, the real world voices or use cases that really happen while you start production.
Wow. When you started mentioning all the challenges, I really appreciate the kind of effort that's going into to bring the smooth experience, and like you pointed out, the voice experience at the center of it all. I mean, people, don't really think about, a lot of complexities, like, how, like what you pointed out, how you escalate this to the human agent, right? And imagine in a real world scenario, then the human agent comes in and says, "Hi, may I know what's the problem?" And then the user goes through the entire loop, and how frustrating
Exactly.
that can be. Yeah, and especially, with a lot of details that you have already given, and then you repeat that details. So it's going to be something that you have to take into account. Wow. So, we really appreciate that, you sharing that. And, you know, a lot of people, when they hear voice AI, may not have the complete picture of what voice AI is, unless they've used it, right? So they often compare it with the text, the text AI, the chat, text-based chat. So how do the complexities, the inherent complexities of voice differ from, what they've used in text-based chat? And, how does that impact the deployment of voice AI? You have talked about the challenges. So in terms of deployments, one of some of the differences.
Okay, so first, I think the first challenge is related. We have something called Voice AI Connect that you can easily voice enable your chatbot and start speaking with the chatbot. So usually, what we see when someone is doing that, they first need to realize that the voice experience from the user, the interaction between the user and the bot, is totally different while we're speaking about voice versus the text. Okay, because voice is interactive. Okay, interactive means that while I'm speaking, I expect the response immediately, not like chat, which is not you don't have to be that interactive in chat, but with voice it's interactive. We interact with each
Yep.
other. Okay,
Mhm.
and we constantly interact, and then we need so that means that you cannot afford delays. Okay, so if you are asking the bot a question, you need the bot to answer immediately or as fast as possible. There are the user may interrupt the bot, things that would not happen in chat, for instance. So while I'm speaking with you, may interrupt me while I'm speaking with you, and then I need to start listening to you. That the same thing would happen also with a bot, that you may interrupt the bot. Sometimes the user is not responding, so you cannot afford also that the user is not responding. You must ask him the question again. Things that would
Mhm.
not really
Yep.
happen in chat unless it's a very long time. So these are things, and more things, by the way, related to with chat. You can answer with a long reply. Okay, because someone can read what you're, but with voice you cannot. It should be shorter replies. You cannot reply in
Yep.
a with a very long one. You cannot share emojis, links, all these
Yeah.
type of things. You cannot share. So
Yes.
first, the user experience is totally different. Before we're speaking even about the challenges of implementing voice. So first, you need to realize user experience is different. When you build a voice bot, you need to relate to the user expectations, which is totally
Mhm.
different. Okay,
Yep.
so yeah. So that's one thing. There are more things related to how you implement voice. And usually with voice, you have two options. There is the what we call cascading mode. That's another layer over the chatbot or the LLM is the speech to text. You need to add speech to text and text to speech, and that comes with complexity. That comes with latency and accuracy
Yep.
and how you make the voice sound native. Or how you can express emotions, things that you can put emojis in chat, but usually with voice that's different. Yeah, if you want to
Mhm. Yep.
express emotions, you need to do that in the voice channel itself. And how you connect to the voice channels, things that I already said before. How you so while you add more components to the system like STT, TTS, or maybe speech to speech LLMs, that brings much more complexities. You have multiple components, and then the voice channels are also different than the chat channels. How to connect to the old legacy telephony world. Again, things related to the escalations to human agents that we said before. So
Yep.
this is
Yeah.
all these type of things are really different when you're speaking about the voice and you compare it to chat.
So if an enterprise already has a chatbot, a text-based chat, and they are thinking of migrating to a voice AI-based chat. I mean, they must know that there's a lot more depth, in establishing or deploying the voice AI and voice-based interactions, right? So I guess when it comes to that, they have to think very hard, like which are the solutions that they can go for, and in that, what criteria should potential users use when selecting the voice AI technology stack to address their business requirement and also the challenges that you've just said.
Okay, so there are multiple of criteria. Okay, so first, one thing about the world today, um, we are hearing about new technologies or new models almost on a weekly basis. It's constantly changing, and that's I think is clear to anyone. So
Yeah.
you may find that you may use a specific technology today, and may find out, for instance, LLM, and then you would see that there is a much better LLM performing better, faster, cheaper in 1 month from today. Okay, and that's relevant to any type of technology. And when you're building,
Yeah.
while you're building a voice bot, you have the speech to text technology, the text to speech technology, the LLMs, or maybe a conversational AI platform that you may use to build your bot. So one thing that I would say that is very important to anyone developing voice AI today, or AI in general, I would say, is that you need to choose a platform that can adapt new technologies as they come. Okay, so
Yep.
once you hear about a new technology, let's say it may take 1 month, and then you can adopt it. Okay, so choose first. First, I would say, if you don't want to stay behind and the world is moving very fast, you cannot really rest. If you would just go to sleep for 1 month, then you would find that the world changed. So you also need to choose a platform that also can adjust to these changes. This is one thing. And also the ability to mix and match. Okay, to mix multiple technologies, because and we already mentioned multiple technologies already today. Then more things can be related to something that can easily connect to all the telephony channels that we said. Okay, so it's not easy to connect to all these telephony channels, and also you may connect to your existing, and then you may move your contact center to the cloud, for instance. And then what
Yep.
happens to your technology stack? What happens to your voice bot in case you choose a specific contact center and then use a different one or move to the cloud? You want a platform that will abstract or decouple, that is decoupled from your telephony channels, that can easily change telephony channels and voice channels and don't really touch your voice AI stack.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so more things, of course, related to ability to scale, ability to be highly available. That's always true, okay? And things that can keep your privacy, security policies. That is always true, okay? That's true to any type of technology that you might want to use. Yeah.
Mhm. Wow. So knowing that these are, the list of criteria that enterprises should consider. So what would you suggest would be the best, architectural and deployment strategies, for enterprises, to ensure that they can successfully scale voice AI to full enterprise production?
Okay, so we already mentioned a little bit things
Yep. Mhm.
related to scalability, availability.
Yes.
Let's
Yes.
maybe deep dive to this a little bit more. Also on a POC, if you're, that also depends on which type of organization you are. It may be a large enterprise, and then you may want to scale to, and usually we're also working with large enterprises, and these type of things are very important to them. Things related to scalability, high availability, privacy, security, all these type of things are very important to them. So you need to first to choose a platform. It's not the same if you are speaking about, let's say, 20 concurrent calls and you compare it to a system that can handle 10,000 concurrent calls. It's not
Yep.
easy to scale to this type of, and while you're, so you need to choose, the platform should be scalable, should be able to handle low traffic, and then bursts that can go to a very big traffic. So can scale in and out, can handle large traffic, and can be reliable. And also when you handle that, it should be reliable. Okay, usually when we say reliable, that means each machine should be backed up, and then you have redundancy, and then you have also gear redundancy. Gear redundancy is that what happens in case your cloud in a specific region fails. Okay, and then you may want also to move to a different region. So you may have two active regions that you can work with, that in case something happened to one of the components, you can move to another region. Now, while we're speaking about the components, also the STT, the TTS, and the LLMs are also components that you use. So you also need to think about things that will happen. What happens if your speech to text stop responding, or maybe responds too slow? Or same thing with the TTS or the LLM. You also need to have alternatives also here. So you need to have maybe two deployments in two different regions that constantly can work with this in different regions. Each component should be backed up. Each functionality or third party that you use should have also an alternative. So all these type of things are really very important, specifically when you're speaking about a large enterprise. And of course, uh, that anything that you choose should be GDPR compliant, HIPAA
Yeah.
compliant, PCI
Yeah.
compliant. I don't know, all
Yes.
these type of things that are very, very important, specifically for the large organizations. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. So, given that, there's so many considerations that enterprises should take, where and should basically think about before selecting the right solution for their voice AI implementations. I'm sure audio codes, would be able to, given an application or a business and their circumstances and requirements, advise, the enterprises where to start, how to start, and, how to measure their voice AI implementations. So, can you share some of the success stories, from audio codes that you think, that basically enabled these a very smooth implementation, and also for the clients to achieve the expected KPIs?
Okay, so we started, AudioCode started, we're in the business of voice for, I think, more than 30 years. Okay, so basically, I can say AudioCodes is in business, is doing voice, anything related to voice and telephony and connectivity in the last 30 years. About 7 years ago, we also started with voice AI. We're one of the pioneers who started with voice AI, and we have
Wow.
customers that already started with us. Okay, and back then it was NLUs, flow editors that didn't work that well. And since the introduction of the LLMs, we see much more success. And we're
Okay.
working with small customers as well as very large customers. So maybe I can give an example. I would not mention names, but I would mention,
Yeah.
I would
Sure.
just give an example of a specific very large customers from the health insurance in US. Uh, and they started with us long ago in 2019. And they're doing two types of things together with us. They're doing voice bots and agent assistants. Agent assistance, by the way, this is something we didn't speak about. Agent assist is what happens in case I'm speaking with a human agent. Can AI help me? Yes, you can add a bot to this conversation that will help the human agent to answer queries faster and more accurate. So this bot is listening, passively listening to the call, giving instructions or suggestions, doing call summaries and whatever. So we're doing with this large customer voice bots and also agent assistants. They're working with multiple providers like Google, Amazon, Microsoft that supply the AI stack. And they started with small scale, and together with them, today we see thousands or even more of concurrent sessions for voice bots and also for agent assistants. So just think about the impact on the business. What is the impact of the business if you now can automate? I don't know. I don't know the percentage, but let's say 30% of the traffic is already automated. I have a feeling it may be even more. And the things that are not fully automated, they also help with the agent assistant. So just think about the impact on the enterprise business, on the contact center operations, and not only the contact center operations, by the way, also things related to the user experience, because they constantly cut the whole time. Usually, when you call a contact center, you would wait, I don't know how much time until someone will answer you. When you start
Yep.
automating things, that would be that would cut the whole time dramatically. And you will also be surprised by the way that the voice bot can even be sometimes, sometimes, not always, if it's implemented
Okay.
well, can even be more better than a human agent. Because
Wow.
yeah,
Mm.
he's more patient usually than human agents.
Hmm.
He's
Yeah.
he always has all the knowledge he needs. So it really depends on the. It's more for the simpler use cases. It depends on the use case and then the implementation. But you may find out that voice bot can even be better, and we see some of our customers doing that. So this is a large customer that word, but we also have another platform called Live Hub for small, medium businesses that can. So we have all sorts of experiences with customers. Some of them are mature in large productions. Some of them only started. Some of them on the POC stage. So it's all sorts of things that we see.
Well, I guess that's the beauty of the solution that you mentioned, voice AI. Whether it's a small company or a big company, they can experiment this because, like you said, it makes a huge difference for your customer relationships, their customer experience, and also, the agent assistance. I think the idea is really fantastic. Like right now, we have been, getting, basically, we are getting machines to help humans, right? So
Yes.
it was always the other way around. So and these kind of assistants will definitely make conversations smoother. They may get the data very quickly, so cuts short the workload on the human agents as well. So I guess this is going to be a very fast evolving field, and you guys have started 7 years ago working on this, but we see so many milestones hit in that short time. So I guess there's huge growth potential in this area. What do you think?
The opportunity is huge. Is huge. Um, there is so much traffic going to contact center to customer service today. Voice calls going. Most of them are not automated yet. If we're speaking about, let's say, I don't know, 2 years from today, I
Yep.
assume I know at least 50% of these calls may be automated. Okay, so think about what happens in case 50% of this traffic will be automated. This is a huge opportunity. So that
Yeah.
this is this is and by the way, this is a very crowded market as well. Okay, there are a lot of of players offering solutions, and since this is huge, there is a place for a lot of providers. I'm sure we also see consolidation in this market, but there's still a place for a lot because the opportunity is huge. And even if it's not only fully automated for the agent assistant, it's just like AI is going to change the whole world. Of course, this is also going to change the customer service and the voice calls going to your business. That's by the way, speaking about agent assistants, we have a new mode that the bot not only listening can also speak to. So just think about you and I now that we have a bot listening and giving me suggestions what to answer, and then also I can ask him to say something to ask him. I can ask him a question, and he will answer to both of us. Okay, so
Okay.
more of a hybrid mode that we can do a
Yeah.
conference at a bot, and he will not only listen, he will also be part of the conversation. So that's
Yeah.
yeah.
That'll be very interesting. I think, maybe in 1 or 2 years' time, we should do that. We should redo the podcast with someone, advising us what to say. That would be really interesting.
Yeah, in 3 years, maybe with that would be multiple bots doing the whole podcast. So they would not need us anymore.
Oh, no. Yeah. It's good that you brought that up. I mean, you never know, right? So, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's exciting still. I mean, but it's still us humans who are going to train those bots, right? So it's still us doing the work, but through a different avatar. So,
Yeah.
it's Yeah, just gets more interesting. So awesome. Well, Ilan, that brings us to the end of the session today. So it's great to have you with us, and thank you so much for sharing all these insights.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Okay. And to everyone tuning in, thank you guys for listening. If you want to learn more, visit www.audiocodes.com and follow us for more updates and insights as we continue to uncover the latest in technology and telecommunications. See you in our next session. Bye bye.